What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for April 23rd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy Humpday to everyone out there. Going to be another beautiful one here. Going to be a little warm, no humidity. Perfect. Get that humidity out of here. It's perfect. All right, so disclaimer here. Kind of in an old Philly-ish mood today. And I mean, I guess I could make the argument this is a new Philly-ish mood because of just holding the team accountable. But before we get into anything, let's get right into the Phillies. What was that? 5-1 and no life, listless, no soft, I would even say. Sanchez with something left forearm. He left the game after the second inning. Did not look right. But the Phillies were still in it. And believe it or not, Joe Ross and Jordan Romano both pitched combined pitched 4 innings of no-run ball. And then Orion Corcoran comes in, and now it's his turn to be the sucky one in the bullpen. I just don't get it. I mean, they're not striking out. Their approach has changed. I think they had 8 strikeouts yesterday, which is still high, but I mean, compared to double-digit strikeouts in a game that we're used to seeing, that's fine. I don't know if the Mets kind of have the Phillies number right now. Lindor seems to be a Philly killer over the past year or so. It's just, I don't know. It's frustrating because, I mean, I'll say it, soft, absolutely soft. The fact that your starting pitcher left after the second inning, you kind of, and with the way the bullpen's been struggling, you kind of think that maybe, okay, guys, we need to do something. And I guess the frustrating part is they're getting the guys on base. They left 9 men on base, hit 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position. You got to get runs in. And I don't know what it is. And then late in the game, their at bats revert back to the old school way, and at no point in this game did I feel as though they had a shot, and that's the sad part, because for the most part it was 1-1 or 2-1 most of the game until Corcoran's inning, and I didn't feel like they had a shot, and that's a testament to the you want to call it the culture, the heart. I don't know who you blame for that. Is it the manager? Is he holding these guys accountable? But I just feel like this is a soft team. The fact that, Aaron Nola doesn't like the pitching in the cold. Seriously? Come on, man. This team is just a mess right now. And I don't know what the answer is. And yes, I know before anybody says, it's baseball. But you know what? This team has higher expectations than, it's just baseball. Let's play 500 ball. No, I mean, are they capable of putting together a run where they win 8 out of 10? Sure. But the way they're playing right now, absolutely not. And it's frustrating. Yesterday we talked about this being a must-win series. Now it's a let's not get swept series. Luckily, Zach Wheeler's on the mound today, but I just feel like this team is soft. They 100% are soft. They have no energy, no heart. I feel as though they're going out there and just playing. And they ran into this problem last year. JT even said, we'll turn it on. No, this is who you are at this point. Save the beginning run of last season. But ever since that London series against the Mets last year, they are a below 500 team, and you got to wonder, is this who they are? And maybe our expectations are too high, but coming off an Eagles Super Bowl, coming off this team going to the World Series, going to the NLCS, and then winning the division last year, I think we have every right to have high expectations of this team and expect more. I feel as though fans are expecting more out of this team than what the manager is. And I'm not saying now is the time to fire him, but you got to do something to wake this team up and have them play with some energy. Is that Kevin Long? I don't know, but this team is soft, and I mean, don't want to question people's intentions and whatever, but from what I'm seeing, this team is 100% soft. Sure, Bohm is on a hit streak now, but he's a head case waiting to happen. Bryce Harper's supposed to be the leader, but he's swinging out of his shoes trying to hit home runs when really they could use some base runners the other night when he was doing that. Maybe that's not soft. Maybe that's not the right word for it, but I don't know. I just don't know. Like, there needs to be some shakeup with this team, and what that means, beats me, because you're running the same team out there knowing what you have and knowing the mindset and mentality of these guys. So, again, I don't know if this is old Philly-ish. I don't know if this is new Philly-ish, but here we are. So hopefully they can salvage the game this afternoon and not get swept by the Mets, but not the start to the week we were looking for the Phillies. But and if you have any suggestions or what you think they should do, hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let's have a conversation about it, because I really don't know. I think we talked, and we'll get to that here in a second, yesterday about Ranger Suarez moving to the bullpen. Is that going to help the team? Is he going to be able to knock in some of those 9 runners that were left on base? I doubt it. So I don't know. And the young guys are too not quite ready to come up, but they need to, like, a jolt of energy. I don't know if you completely shake it up and put Harper back in the outfield, put Turner out in left, Rojas in center, move Bohm to first, and put Sosa at third, or short. Shake it up. But I mean, I got to look at Rob Thompson and kind of question what he's doing to get this team motivated, because I feel as though, and this is well, I guess it is a shot, but no knock. I guess it's a knock too. Whatever. Basically, they play like Rob Thompson's personality, just dry. And again, I know it's baseball. I know there's ebbs and flows, and the fact that an ebb is here kind of to start the season. But I mean, even the Dodgers series, they almost blew the 2 games they won. So I don't know if this team is built to win. And I know that's crazy to say considering the success that they've had, but something needs to change. Like, there's zero energy. They need they need a Jimmy Rollins coming out and like saying we're the team to beat. They don't have that guy. And I know there's guys that like Schwarber in the clubhouse and Harper leading by example and all that, but they don't have a true go-to leader, the guy that's going to fire them up, a Larry Boa. Like, Larry Boa would be ripping this team right now. And like, I know, like, I don't know when as a society we became so soft where you can't call out people for not doing their job. But Rob Thompson needs to say, yeah, the bullpen sucks. They got to do a better job. Not, oh, well, his location is, his velocity is there, and he'll get there. Like, no, you got to say, you need to be better. Don't make excuses for Aaron Nola. Oh, well, he doesn't like pitching in the cold. Well, suck it up. You're playing in the Northeast. It's going to be cold in April. Like, deal with it. You got to be better. Figure it out. Put a sweatshirt on. Or buy some Under Armour. Like, there's just something off about this team, and I can't figure it out, but they literally have no heart, no energy, and they're soft. And if you disagree, that's fine. Let me know why I'm wrong, but this team is soft. 100% soft. And I don't know why the Phillies are getting a pass here, because if this was the Eagles, and with the expectations they have, we'd be all over them. Hell, the Sixers didn't even have, we all knew, like, they put the expectations this year of winning a championship on themselves. But before all of the shit with Joe and Paul George and Tyrese and the injuries and everything, we were giving them shit. Why do the Phillies get a pass in this city? It's ridiculous. This team is soft. No heart. No heart. Let's recap yesterday's question of the day, though. I did ask you, should Ranger Suarez, when he's back, go to the bullpen? 55% of you said no. And I mean, now in light of Christopher Sanchez possibly missing some time, probably the right move. Ranger did pitch in Lehigh Valley last night, went 5 innings, but I think pitched well, only threw 59 pitches, so they kind of pushed back his call up to make sure they wanted, I heard or read, forget which one at this point, but they want to get him up about to 90 pitches, so he's going to pitch again on Sunday. But thank you as always for participating in the question of the day. We will have one here later in the show, but 55% of you said no. I mean, at this point, unless he's going to be able to knock in runners who are left on base, I don't think it matters. It does not matter. Lots of Nola hate, though, in the comments while we were discussing Ranger, but rightfully so, too. Put a damn Under Armour on, dude. Like, stop whining about the cold. Like, shut up. Anyway, there will be another question of the day later in the show. All right, we are going to run our 2 Tankathons now, from one depressing team to 2 more. So I ran the Tankathon. We're going to do that every day until the NBA draft lottery, and just to kind of get some numbers and some data to see where possibly the Sixers may pick, and same with the Flyers. Sixers, second straight day, they dropped out of their pick, finishing 7th today. They would not get the pick if that was the case. Again, the likelihood of 2 teams jumping over them, obviously the odds are higher than 3, but probably not likely, but kind of depressing that it happened 2 days in a row. And if that happens, we're going to be in for a long offseason if they don't get that first pick. And then we did run the Flyers, and thankfully they saved the day, hit the jackpot, and got the number 1 pick. Love to see Danny Briere and Keith Jones work their magic with the number 1 pick as well as the 2 pick in the 20s. Danny has already gone on record saying it's time to look at starting to add some future pieces to this team and start building around the core group they have. So excited for the Flyers offseason, nervous for the Sixers draft lottery, but we'll see what happens. Eagles draft tomorrow. We'll have more on the Eagles here in a minute. But let's do some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, Jimbo_Mott. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. It's a slow burn, grassroots movement. Got some things working behind the scenes, trying to figure some things out with programming and things like that. So stay tuned for that as I'm trying to process. And for those of you who might be a new listener, welcome, but just know that this is a side thing for me. I do work full-time, so this is heading into the busy time. It's testing season for my full-time job, so a lot of my free time I just like to veg out and not really think. Although I've been burning the midnight oil the past couple nights doing some podcast stuff, so we'll see. But stay tuned for that and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then remember, go to any of my social media, including my Facebook and LinkedIn, if you want to see some highlights, clips, photos, newspaper clippings, things like that of whatever we talk about for this day in Philly sports history. All right, so speaking of the Eagles, first round of the draft is tomorrow. We all know the Eagles have the 32nd pick. Will they stand pat? Will they trade out, trade up? Who knows? It should be an interesting night, so looking forward to that. But we are going to do a little TMZ portion of the podcast today. And this just means the Phillies suck, and we need to get some Eagles news with the draft. But if you didn't hear, A.J. Brown's car was stolen. He was on his Instagram talking about it. Basically told the dude, look, man, no harm, no foul. Just return the car and you'll be fine. Police did catch the guy. Apparently, he parked in front of a police station or near a bunch of police officers, which is pretty smart when you have A.J. Brown's stolen car. But that is the A.J. Brown story. And then congratulations to Jalen Hurts, who apparently, through all the celebration of winning the Super Bowl MVP, going to Disney World, did get married. So congratulations. And that has been the TMZ portion of today's podcast. We'll have real good Eagles coverage starting tomorrow as we gear up for the first round of the draft. But the A.J. Brown story was way more entertaining than both of these Phillies-Mets games. So you got that going for us, I guess. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things happening on their Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com for more details on what they have to offer. as well as how you can also get involved. And then check out their podcasts available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. New ones usually drop on Thursday and Friday, so be sure to support them. Steven and the crew are doing a great job over there. And then, of course, go to Philly Goat. They got you covered when it comes to all of your Philly sports apparel. Constantly coming out with new stuff, interesting stuff, great stuff. I'm still working on getting my Cruck Around and Find Out shirt. But they've also partnered with Jordan Spector. So check out his artwork if you're not familiar with him. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And anything on the site, 10% off. I use the cooler bag I got all the time now. They partnered with Varsity Coolers. I got a great Eagles cooler that is amazing. I got the backpack one. Looking forward to just loading up everything and spending hours at the pool this summer. But go to Philly Goat. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to make sure you take 10% off of your order. All right. So today, I'm pissed off. Might as well go back to the good old days, back when our winter sports teams were in the playoffs. We got a little bit of a April 23rd doubleheader today. First, we're going to go back to 1996, and the Flyers were trailing 2-1 in the second round of the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They headed down to Tampa Bay, and they stormed out to a 4-1 win in Game 4 to even that series. John LeClair had 2 power play goals. Joel Otto and Dale Howardchuk also scored for the Flyers, who would go on to win the next 2 before falling to the Panthers in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. But better days were ahead as they would go to the Stanley Cup that following season. But on this day, Flyers beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-1 to even their second round series at 2 games apiece. John LeClair, 2 power play goals to lead the way for the Fly Guys. And then fast forward, speaking of the Sixers, fast forward to 2019. And on this day in 2019, they won their first round playoff series against the Nets, winning Game 5, 122-100. Joe had 23 points, 13 assists, or 13 rebounds. Ben Simmons added 13. Jimmy Butler only had 9, but he was the hero of the game before, hitting the game winner against the Nets. Tobias Harris, yes, Tobias Harris had 12 points. The Sixers stormed back to win 4 straight against the Nets after dropping the first game. This was the Toronto Raptors year, and honestly, this may have been the Sixers' best team. You had a Ben Simmons who wasn't scared. You had Jimmy Butler who was in his prime. You had Joel Embiid who was semi-healthy. I think he was sick a lot this year in the playoffs. I think this was that year, but for the most part, he was healthy. And then you had Kawhi Leonard just playing out of his mind in that Raptors series. But on this day, it was a good thing as the Sixers closed out the Nets 122-100 to win their first round playoff series 4-1. My, the good old days. All right, it is Eagles draft week. We've been spotlighting the best picks by round. We've done supplemental. We've done undrafted free agents. Today we're going to get into the meat of the draft. And these are guys who were picked in the 8th round or later. Now the NFL draft is 7 rounds, but there was a time where it would go on forever. So these are the best players that the Eagles have ever picked in the 8th round or later. 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL champion Russ Kraft was drafted in the 15th round. He was a star on that 48 and 49 teams. 1960 NFL champion, NFL Hall of Famer, Philly Sports Hall of Famer, Eagles Hall of Famers, Tom Brookshire, and Bobby Walton were selected in the 15th round. Both of them starred on that. I think one was in 1958, the other was in 1959. Barefooted kicker Paul McFadden was drafted in the 12th round. Might remember he burst onto the scene before kind of falling off. If you remember the Buddy Ryan days and the early Rich Kotite, if you remember Mark McMillan was drafted in the 10th round. And then also drafted in the 10th round was Herb Lusk, a guy I worked for 10 years at the People for People Charter School. He was the pastor at the Greater Exodus Baptist Church, the Eagles chaplain for a long time, and the first player who started the after he scored a touchdown, he would kneel down and pray. Passed away a couple years ago, but Herb Lusk, great dude, worked for him for years. He was drafted in the 10th round. But our spotlight today, two of my all-time favorite Eagles from those Buddy Ryan teams were taken in back-to-back rounds in the 1986 NFL Draft. Let's start with the 8th round, and the Eagles selected Seth Joyner out of UTEP. He played with the Eagles from 86 to 93, two-time All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler. He's on the Eagles All-75th Anniversary team. He's in the Eagles Hall of Fame, the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. He's in the 2020 club, one of the few members. There's a lot of guys who have more interceptions and more sacks, but he is the only Eagle in history with 35 sacks and 15 or more interceptions. Known for his big plays. I feel like Seth Joyner was the guy where you're like, all right, the Eagles need a turnover here, and he would either force a fumble or grab an interception or make a sack. He was really, to me, was a big-time player. You might know him now on Post Game Live. He does the post-game show for the Eagles. I had an experience with Seth Joyner out in Westchester at training camp. So excited to wait in line. Gave him my card. My pen died, and he was like, sorry, kids. So I have a Seth Joyner card in my storage that has an S on it. Nobody would ever believe that it was a Seth Joyner signature, but I have the story to back it up. As far as I'm concerned, he should be a Hall of Famer, and we'll get more into that in a minute. Now that Eric Allen's in, I think we need to make a push to get Seth Joyner in. Probably my favorite Seth Joyner game was the House of Pain game when he had a monster day with the flu and 102 fever. So Seth Joyner drafted in the 8th round in 1986. And then one round later, the Eagles selected Clyde Simmons, who is number 4 on the Eagles' all-time sack list. He's a two-time All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler, led the league in sacks in 1992, also in the Eagles Hall of Fame, also on the Eagles' 75th anniversary team, and he is a newly inducted for the 2025 class into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. He's often the forgotten star from the team. Everybody talks Reggie. Everybody talks Eric Allen. Everybody talks about Andre Waters' hits, Jerome Brown. But Clyde Simmons was a star in his own right. Often one of the guys that people forget about on those teams. My favorite Clyde Simmons play is they were playing the Giants 1988 up in the Meadowlands in overtime. I think the game was tied 17-all. Luis Dejas came on to kick a field goal. It was blocked, recovered by Clyde Simmons, who returned it in overtime for the game-winning touchdown. And if you ever can get a chance, watch the clip of this. Bill Parcells loses his shit because he's like, he can't advance it, can't advance it. But it turns out the ball went behind the line of scrimmage when Clyde recovered it. And because it wasn't 4th down, he was able to return it. Eagles win en route to a division title that year in 1988. And it's amazing to think about Buddy Ryan's eye for talent. Like, he drafted these guys in the 8th and 9th round Clyde Simmons is not a Hall of Famer, but he's certainly in the Hall of Very Good. To me, Seth Joyner is a Hall of Famer. Tomorrow, we'll focus on the 7th round as we gear up for the first night of the NFL Draft. But today, 8th rounder later, two studs, two of my favorite players of all time on the same defense, taking back-to-back rounds in the same draft back in 1986. Seth Joyner and Clyde Simmons are today's spotlight. I got Seth's autograph over there. I got Clyde's starting lineup over my left shoulder. It's a good day to be an Eagles fan. But getting back to Seth Joyner, that is today's question of the day. Is he a Hall of Famer? I think the numbers speak for themselves. I think the fact that he played in an era with a lot of good linebackers certainly probably holds him back. But I think Seth is right up there with everybody. He likely would have more Pro Bowls and All-Pro if he wasn't playing during the time of Lawrence Taylor. So I personally think, and I'm probably biased on this, and I'll completely admit it, I think Seth Joyner is a Hall of Famer, and you can certainly make the case, a strong case, that he should be in. But what do you think? Is Seth Joyner a Hall of Famer? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. I say yes. What say you? let's have some fun with Seth Joyner today. On this day in 1996, Flyers beat the Lightning 4-1 to even up their series at 2 games apiece in the second round of the NHL playoffs. And then in 2019, Sixers close out their first round series against the Nets 122-100, winning 4 straight after dropping the first game of that series. A little bit of positivity here on a Humpday Wednesday, as both of our teams in the wintertime used to be pretty good. We'll have more on any Eagles rumors as we get them tomorrow. We'll have more on the Phillies. Hopefully they can avoid the sweep. But let me know your thoughts. Are they soft, or am I being too tough on them? I mean, I think they're soft. I think they're playing with no heart, no energy. Something needs to give. They need Ben Franklin to fly a kite over Citizens Bank Park and just strike up the energy to help this team. Like, they're just moping around. It just seems like they're, if you've seen the Minecraft movie, they're moving around like a bunch of villagers in Minecraft. I don't know. But we'll have more on them tomorrow. We'll run our Tankathons again as we're gearing up for the draft to start tomorrow. We'll focus on their best Eagles 7th round draft picks, and then gearing up and getting ready for possibly a draft-related Fridays with AI on Friday on This Day in Philly Sports History. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 23rd, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Wednesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.